Hello and welcome to Total Tax Accountants. Today in this exciting video we are going to talk about what are the self-employed tax deductible expenses. So if you're a self-employed, as you may already be aware, that you only pay tax on your profits. So profits are derived from your total income minus eligible expenses, and then it becomes your profit, which are taxable. You may be a basic rate taxpayer or a higher rate taxpayer, or maybe an additional rate taxpayer. So your taxable profits will be identified once your income minus all eligible expenses, and then you will have profits which you will pay tax on. So in this video, we are going to explore the typical list of self-employed expenses, and in the end, we'll try to demonstrate it with an example. So firstly, office rent. So if you have an office space and you're occupying an office space, which you're using for a business, and you're paying rent, then the office rent is 100% tax deductible against your self-employed income. You may choose to work from home, and you may find it cheaper to work from home, having to have a commercial office space. Then you can claim the business proportion cost for you to having to work from home. Now, this is a topic for another video. We will talk about this later at some stage, but for now, if you're working from home, then you can business apportion the cost of having to work from home. Similarly, if you have any office running cost, for example, if you're buying any printer paper, you're buying the printer itself, stationery, and all of that expense related directly to your business, they are also tax deductible. Business travel cost, such as train, bus, taxi. So if you're having to do a business travel to visit your client, or maybe an existing client, or maybe a potential business client, or maybe a potential business meeting, then you can claim business travel cost, whether it's a public transport or whether you drive your own vehicle. So if you are driving your own vehicle for business, then you can claim a fixed mileage for a business. Unless you have a business vehicle itself, then that's a different subject. But if you're driving your personal car for work, or personal car for business reason, then you can claim the mileage expense. The fixed mileage expense can allow you to claim up to 45p a mile for the first 10,000 miles, and then it's 25p a mile for any mileage above 10,000. Clothing expense. This is very important to note. That you can claim the clothing expense. However, there's limitations to it. You may not choose to buy a business suit, which will have a dual usage. I mean, you could use the business suit for private functions. Hence, HMRC is really strict on the clothing expense, what you can buy. You can buy uniform, safety boots, however, any protective gear, any uniform which will have a logo, your business logo, can be claimed as a tax deductible expense. But you may not want to buy a Marks Spencer or John Lewis suit and then would like to put it through your business expense, because there will be a dual element of usage, i.e. you can use for a business or a personal use. Hence, those do not qualify for the wholly exclusive definition for taxable purposes. So hence, you can only claim clothing expense if they're directly related to the business and you having to buy which is required for you to perform a job, such as if you work in a construction industry and you're having to buy safety boots, or maybe having to buy a high visibility vest. So those are the directly business related expense, and you can claim that as an expense. Staff cost. So it may be relevant to self-employed cafes, restaurants who are having to have a staff cost. They pay out salaries or subcontracted temporary staff. They come and work for them. So you can claim certainly the staff cost against your self-employed income. And cost of goods. So any goods which you buy to sell, they are also tax deductible expense. Financial cost. You may have a business bank account separately for your business, and you're having to pay bank charges. You may be working as in an industry where you need to buy a business insurance. Then business insurance, bank charges, they are all tax deductible expense. Advertising or marketing. So, for example, if you're having to get the website made up for your business, or you're putting an ad onto maybe a television or a newspaper, advertising costs, wholly and exclusive for the business, they are all tax deductible expense. Training courses. So training courses is quite interesting. I will explain this in further detail for you. Generally, training courses, which is such as the refresher course, which are upskilling your existing trade, then it is a tax deductible expense. However, if you are undergoing a training, which in order to learn a new skill, then HMRC does not allow that as a tax deductible expense. So I'll give you an example. So for example, if it's a plumber who is training to be an accountant, because it's a new trade altogether and it's separate to its existing trade, so it would not qualify as a tax deductible expense. However, if a plumber is upskilling by doing a refresher course or maybe doing a high level of qualification in order to skill their existing job, then that will qualify as a tax deductible expense. Work equipment, work-related equipment, i.e. you may choose to buy a laptop exclusively used for work, iPad, mobile phone. As long as these are going to be used wholly and exclusively for the business, then you can claim as tax deductible expense as whole. Now, in the end, let's just explain that with an example. So Mr. X works as a self-employed IT consultant and has the following income and expenses. So in a year, they've had an income of £20,000 and they had following expenses. They paid for a website, £1,200, stationery and business laptop, £1,180, indemnity insurance, that's £800, business travel, £270, and they also had to pay a subcontractor temporary staff cost of £2,200. So if you look at the taxable profits for this individual, it will be £20,000 minus the all eligible expenses, which are £5,620. Then the taxable profits are £14,350. So Mr. X in this example would pay tax on their taxable profits, which are the total income minus expenses, and that drives their taxable profits. Now, Mr. X may be a basic rate taxpayer, or maybe they have this self-employment alongside their normal day job, so their tax rate will be identified as per their overall income for the year. So let's just summarize this video. As a self-employed, you pay tax on your taxable profits. How the taxable profits are derived: your taxable profits are your total income minus eligible expenses, and these are your taxable profits. So all expenses which are wholly and exclusively used for a business, they generally do qualify as a 100% tax deductible expense. Now, should you have any questions, feel free to give us a call on our confidential line is 01494 264826, or feel free to drop us an email at info@totaltaxaccountants.co.uk. Many thanks.